Welcome to A Life with Marlene. Hey, everybody, it's Life with Marlene. Happy Sunday to all you gems. I hope everybody's doing awesome. I just thought I'd do a little impromptu chit chat, talk about something that I like to talk about, which is important topics. Yeah, happy Sunday to everybody. I hope your weekend was awesome and still is going awesome. Okay, it looks like I'm back. I was buffering for a second. Hey, puzzle pieces, happy Sunday. Welcome in. And to everybody who is here, if you could please hit the like, I really appreciate it. So, today I didn't plan anything, so I don't have any notes or anything, just going to chit chat. I wanted to talk about relationships, and there's so many relationships that you can have in your life, right? There's the relationship you have with your parents. There's relationship you have with your siblings. There's relationship you have with your friends. There's relationships with your coworkers. It's the relationship you have with the person that you're in a romantic relationship with. And I was just thinking that it would be something good to talk about. A lot of times when people have relationships, they start off really good in the beginning of the relationship. All relationship and your friendships, you're doing all of these things for each other. Same thing, romantic relationships in the beginning, like, you dress really nice, you're doing all of these things. Guys are opening the door for you. The girl is having, keeping herself all the way together. And, on the job when you first start, they're so nice to you and everything. But then after a while, people start to fall off in the relationship. I don't know if it's because they get comfortable in the relationship, or they get lazy, or they don't think that they have to, or they think like, I got this person, like, we've been friends, I don't have to do anything. But it's not true. All relationships must be maintained. That's the thing that I don't like, is when people, once after a little while, they slack off in their romantic relationship. Like, they stop doing kind and nice things, being spontaneous, keeping themselves looking good. It's like people just let themselves go. And I don't just mean women, I mean men as well. Like, the things that you did in the beginning for the relationship, like, keeping your hair, or keeping up a haircut, making yourself look good, making sure you maintain a nice weight, you try to keep yourself looking good. Then after a while, after being in the relationship, it's like they slack off. Like, you just slack off and just think, I don't have to maintain this relationship. I can do whatever I want to. I can, gain all this weight. I don't have to make myself look nice. And my question is, do you think that's the reason why some romantic relationships fall off? Because people get so comfortable, and they don't appreciate the person that they're with. I personally think that a lot of times it's not really that you want to, but you get comfortable. You get used to, when you have a good person, you get used to not having to do the things that you used to do. Like, you take some simple things for granted. Like, say in the relationship, like, now you no longer have to do any maintenance on your car. Things that are just repaired in the home. There's a lot of things that you just kind of lean back and you forget to say things like, thanks so much for doing that for me, or vice versa. Or if you have nice home cooked meals, your clothes is laundered, the place looks clean, things are together. And I think a lot of times in the relationships, we kind of get, what is the word? Not not well, comfortable for one reason, but also I think a lot of times that people get way too, I don't know, they don't appreciate the person that they're with. They take the person for granted, and I don't like that. I think that people should like stop taking one another for granted. um and it's not just romantic relationships. I think even with your friends, even with your family members, like in the beginning, maybe you would have said like please and thank you, can you help me? And then it's like there's the expectation like you have to do it. And I don't think that that's good in any relationship, romantic and friendships, with your family, even on the workplace. Yeah, that's the word, complacent, right? That's what people do. They get complacent, they get too relaxed, and thinking that in this relationship, I don't have to do any maintenance. Like, basically, I got them, and they'll just whatever I do, like they'll accept it. And I believe that that's the downfall of so many relationships, and I mean not just romantic, but also in friendships, just thinking like, oh, I don't have to call them, they know I care about them, I don't have to spend time with them. Same thing in romantic relationships. You need to take some time out of your schedule, no matter how busy you are, to spend some time together, to find out what each other has going on. And I think a lot of people that they focus so much on the money aspect, especially in a romantic aspect of things. They put so much focus in on, I got to go to these fancy dinners and I got to take selfies, and all of that aside, what is going on with the two of you in the relationship? And also with your friends. Do you really know what's going on with your friend? I can't say that I have done it many a times, with life happening. Life just happens, and you kind of ask yourself, when's the last time I called that person, or we hung out, or I don't even know what's going on with them. And life can happen, but we can't take our friends, our family members, or anybody who is important to us for granted. And we do it sometimes not really because we're really trying to um take them for granted or use them or anything like that. You may not have that intention, but on the other side, if the other person in that relationship, if the person in the friendship, if the person in a romantic relationship, if somebody in your family, if they feel that you always expect them to do things for them, you're never you don't listen to them like you used to, you don't spend time together like you used to. I'm not saying it's right, but I do think it's the reason why people break up and then go to somebody else, because we can't think that when you're in a relationship, I got you. I got you. And there's many fish in the sea. Especially in romantic relationships. Don't get so relaxed, ladies and gentlemen. Especially when you have a good person. That's a whole nother topic, but I do think a lot of times when we have a good person, when you are in a good relationship, don't like sit back like, oh, I got them, I don't have to do anything anymore, or they know I care about them, they know I love them, they know all of these things. But you have to tell whoever it is that you care about in all relationships, you got to say, out of your mouth, hey, I really appreciate everything you do for me. Thanks for always being kind. I think gratitude is so valuable in any good and healthy relationship. And I think that the relationships really do get toxic a lot of times because there's one person who takes advantage of the other person and just thinks, oh, I don't have to tell them thank you, or I don't have to spend time with them, or I don't have to say, especially the words, I love you. And I know we get wrapped up in that sometimes. We forget to tell people that really do matter to us how much they mean to us. And it's not like the person doesn't know, but I think that it helps to maintain the relationship. Let's welcome Nexie. Hey Nexie, welcome. I think your mic is muted, or she may be busy doing something right now whenever she comes back in. So I do think that that's a big issue a lot of times in relationships is people forget to say the small things like thank you. I appreciate what you do for me. Let's spend some time together. And one big issue in romantic relationships a lot is people think once they are in the relationship, they stop dating the person. You should never stop dating the person that you're in a relationship with, spending time with them. That person should always know how special they are. Okay. Okay. Welcome, Nexty, to the show.
Hi, Marlene. I
Happy
am so
Sunday.
sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's cool. Happy
You
Sunday.
know, happy Sunday to you. I'm so happy you're here, and
It's
I'm
my
so
favorite
happy
day
you're
of the week. It's my favorite day of the
right.
week.
Oh my God. For me, it's like, no, it's the end of the weekend. Back to work.
I know. That's why I say I love Sunday
For
so much.
you, it's the end of work.
For me, it's the end of work, but for others, it's the beginning.
I don't like you, Marlene. I really don't. I hope you know that.
I know. I know.
But a lot of people have your schedule, and that's a good thing because they get super excited, or like they come in on Sunday, right? And
Yeah.
when I come in on Monday, they're leaving, so they're all excited.
Yep.
I'm like very grumpy.
Bye.
What are you so happy about?
But now today starts my weekend.
That's true. That's what they say too. But you know what? It's a very important topic you're discussing today as a mother and a wife as well.
Mhm.
We're guilty of that. I'm guilty of that. In the beginning, of course, it's just the two of you, right? So you make time. You always keep yourself all purty.
Yeah,
You always keep yourself
makeup, hair, nails.
smelling good and the makeup
Yeah.
on. And even if you don't wear makeup, you dress up. You
Mhm.
you you make yourself presentable. But as the kids come up, because I cannot even blame it on as the relationship progresses, at least not for me, right? Not for me. But as the kids start to be born and stuff like that, your priorities change. You yourself, and I don't mean this as I'm not speaking for everybody else, Marlene, I'm speaking for myself, right? I started putting myself last from everybody else,
Mm.
right? So once the kids started coming up, hair didn't get done. I didn't spend that much time on me. It was all about the kids, making sure the baby was okay, was fed. You start just forgetting about you. And by doing so, you start forgetting about your partner,
Mhm.
or what bonded both of you together. And that can create a lot of problems in a relationship.
If you feel like you're in a relationship with somebody and you stop feeling special in the relationship, and it doesn't take much for that to happen. It's like even the things like, oh, you look nice, whatever it is that you feel like you're still being admired. You still feel like the person that you're with is looking at you, with the puppy dog eyes. You want that forever, and you feel like when you stop getting that sort of admiration and those kinds of looks and stuff, don't think that there's going to be people on the outside that won't give you that attention.
Yeah, of course. But at the same time, Marlene, um, I had not started working on myself right before the kids came along. I started working on myself after the kids came. They were like probably like 2 or 3 years old at this point. So I was, complaining about the fact that, it wasn't the same, that maybe it was not going to work out. And I started blaming the other person.
Mhm.
This person doesn't understand. He doesn't understand, right? We have the kids, we have this, we have that. And I cannot believe that this person is not in for everything. I have to do everything. And then my therapist started pointing out, do you ask for help? And I don't have time for myself. I cannot even do my hair. I cannot even do this. I cannot even. Do you ask for help? Again, right? That question.
Mhm.
What do you mean, do you ask for help? Yes. Do you ask for, can you watch the baby for like 30 minutes while I go take a shower, doll up, and whatever you have to do, and make yourself feel better, by having me time. So do you ask for help? And he kept on asking that question. And I was looking at him side eye, like, what do you mean, do you ask for help? I don't need help. I'm super
Yeah,
mom. I'm not Superman. I'm super mom. So,
exactly.
yeah. So I started noticing, Marlene, that it wasn't because that person wasn't willing, that every time that person offer, right? If I can watch him so you can do whatever you want, what he meant is so you can go get yourself pretty, get yourself relaxed. But I
Right.
wasn't taking that into consideration. It was all about me and my baby, you know?
Yeah. Control issues. Control issues.
I
I
don't
can
suffer
say
from it.
I can say that because I had them. Not anymore. I know how to delegate. I'm like, okay, can you got this? I just hand it off like, okay, bye.
I never
I have
suffer from that before.
no problem. Like when I know when I get to about 3 on the scale of 5, I know when I'm too stressed out. Like, okay, time for me to walk away, time for me to go for a drive, time for me to whatever. I know my limits now, whereas before I didn't. And that's what caused me at one time period to have like a nervous breakdown because I was doing too much. I think I was working 5 12-hour shifts plus taking care of a home, plus doing this, plus in school. And I was stretched too thin.
Exactly. And you see, I've never had those problems. I mean, never control issues. I was perfect.
Yeah,
my
never.
my
Mhm.
therapist was wrong. But the thing here is I started blaming the other person, right? Because of him, or I don't have time to do something for me, to take a shower, or real, a long shower, just a bath, right? Just a quick shower, not a long, like, nice relaxing bath. I cannot, get myself pretty anymore because the baby cries and this and that. So that's when I started working, and I started blaming the other person. Like everything that was wrong, it was coming from the other side, right? Like the dark side.
Yeah.
But as I started working on myself, I started realizing that control, as you say, and that need of perfection around your kids, that you want everything to be perfect, which life isn't, right? But my same issue that I didn't have with my mom came to play here. That
Mhm.
wanting, that desire to have control over everything was making me forget about everything else that was as important as my baby,
Mm.
right? And a
Yeah.
lot of times I feel that we're so we make ourselves stressed. We make ourselves not have time. We make ourselves forget about ourselves.
Yeah. On purpose because we'll say, like, because I used to say it all the time, but nobody can't do it like me.
Like me. Yeah. No, no. If I leave, the baby will cry, or if I, and then he started saying, when I came up with so many excuses, right? Well, if I leave, the baby starts crying. Like if I don't, he doesn't see me, or she doesn't see me. He starts looking for me, and then he said one thing, 24/7, really? And I was like, what? What do you mean? he says, yes, does your baby sleep? Well, yeah, he takes, or she takes 2 naps, and then, through the night he sleeps or she sleeps 6 hours or 8 hours. Okay, I heard probably about 9 hours that you have free to do whatever you want with you.
Mm,
So, I feel that a lot of times we're so into everything has to be done by me that we ourselves push the other person away and make
oh,
them feel like they don't matter, like they're not good enough to help us around the house or take tasks on
yeah,
because they're not good enough, so we push people away, whether it's a friend or a husband or a partner or whatever it is. We're the ones.
even in the workplace.
Of course, yes, we do all of that because of the control issue we have. And I should say I had, because I'm
Mhm.
speaking of me. But I feel that, at one point I had to reevaluate everything that I had done, and I had to ask for forgiveness and explain to my husband the reason why, I had been doing all these crazy things. And, we talked about it, and then we started making, date night plans,
Right,
right? With someone will come and stay with like 2 hours. Whatever, the beauty about that is that he worked with whatever I could handle.
right. So
If it was only an hour.
you had somebody who was patient. Not everybody has that.
You know what, Marlene? I think he was. No, I didn't have that. I think that once we saw that things weren't working out, right? And we were the verge of that separation or whatever, I
Mhm.
think that because he voiced it many a time, what's happening with us. You don't want to, do anything. You don't want to go out. You don't want to. It's all about the baby. So what's going on?
Mhm.
So I think that as I started working on me, I was able to reel him back in, and so that we could start
Okay.
working. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of times when you're in that toxic stage, like in your own mind, you don't even know that you have all of these issues. Like you don't think you have control issues. You don't think that you know that you have anything to work on. You just can see the flaws in other people, but it takes two people to be in a relationship, all relationships actually, even friendships, because the thing that I don't like is when I have a friend, but I'm the one doing all the work. I'm the one that has to do all the calling, the hanging out, the making plans, the texting, whatever it is. So it takes more than one person to be a friend, and I had to learn that if somebody can't even send me a text message, even a phone call, when's the last time somebody has asked me how I'm doing? Then that's not really my friend, because I'm not saying you gotta have somebody there every hour, 5 times a day. No, not overboard, but there has to be some sort of maintenance or something involved that shows that whoever the person is in your life, family, friend, in the workplace, romantic relationship, that they're doing something to show you that you are valuable and important to them.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we forget that, Marlene. That, like I said, like you said earlier, I think, as life happens, right? You sometimes you don't you have friends that are texting you or calling you and you're not returning, right? Those phone calls, those texts. But when you get okay with yourself and you start reaching out, then those people are not there for you anymore. They're not willing to. They keep on like, okay, now you want to talk, now you want to call me, now you want to do that. And
Yeah,
sometimes,
yeah, sorry about that. And sometimes it gets kind of out of control when you finally realize what you're doing and you're willing to now make a change. That person may have already been full and they're ready to throw in the towel because they've been waiting for so long that when you finally do realize, it may be too late.
yeah, and that's what I was going with this, is that I've been that friend, Marlene, that like you said, that you have to be reaching out to. I've been that friend that, they will call me, they will, try to make plans. And I had a friend that always was always trying to get me out, see how I was doing, calling to make plans. Hopefully, we can go out to dinner. And I never, I didn't think I was ever going to lose this person. But from so many phone calls not being returned like right away, or so many times I've made and canceled plans, or waited for her to reach me for a plan, I lost that friend. And that's my biggest, regret.
And trust me, you're not the only person. Just you're a person who is open and honest to admit that we don't always be the best friend that we can be to other people, or we're not the best person who is like there for people in our own families, or we're not present in romantic relationships because we just have our own personal issues going on, and we kind of really don't learn how to appreciate people. And I think that's the reason for this discussion is, learn to appreciate people that you have in your life, because we think that we're always going to have people in our life, but my proof of that was when I had people in my life that passed away. I feel like it really hits home when that happens to you. You just don't expect one day for people to not be there. So it's so important that while you have people in your life, and the people who actually do treat you kindly and are supportive of you and loyal to you, don't take any of those people for granted, because you'll be so sorry. You're not just going to find good friends or a good person in a relationship, or a good person in the workplace. It just doesn't happen. So if you find somebody who is willing to understand and support, be loyal to you, you should make sure that you're putting in some time to maintain that relationship.
There you go. And that is, that I had the same to learn the hard way, that you cannot neglect anybody that you care for, because you're they're not always going to hear that silent "I love you, I care for you," right? You have to make sure that you are constantly, and I don't mean every day, every 5 minutes, like you said, no, but I mean like the every like weekly, you can set up a date where you call everybody, and to make sure, you go through your list of friends and make sure that they're doing okay if you haven't been able to get in touch with them. Make it, a day of the week first, and then start going from there to get used to calling people that, family members, friends, whoever, as often as you can, to make sure that they know how much you care for them. Even if it's just a hello, I'm busy, but I just wanted to say hi.
Yes, exactly. I agree with everything you said, and just like realist one just put in the chat, 1 minute here, the next gone just as quick.
Mm-hmm. That is
Yeah,
so true.
yeah. And
We have learned.
unfortunately, it happens to many of us. We don't want it to happen, but it's life.
That is so true. Hey,
Yeah.
Shay.
Hey Shay. Hey realist. Hey iridescent light. Hi retirement days and Von D. Welcome everybody. Happy Sunday. I think it's so important to talk about maintenance of these relationships, because even like something I used to take for granted all the time was my parents. I don't know.
Hmm.
I feel like I don't know, and I feel bad saying it, but I always felt like they were my parents. That's what they're supposed to do. Like they're supposed to always be there for me, but I never felt like, I don't know. Now that I say that, that doesn't sound good, but I'm just being honest. Where I was in my life, I always thought that they're my parents. That's what parents are supposed to do. They're supposed to be here for me. But I never thought like, man. One day I was thinking, I was like, you're really selfish. When's the last time you checked on mom or dad? And I was like, it's been a while, hasn't it? So, yeah, it's those things, like, for real. I really wasn't even thinking. I just honestly, that's how I felt. They're my parents. That's what parents do.
And also, they should know I love them, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to call. They know. I mean, seriously, they had this perfect specimen. They know I love them
Yeah. I'm like,
telepathically.
I'm like, I'm their kid. Don't you know your kid loves you? And my mom is like, it would be nice to hear sometimes. I'm like, hmm, asking a lot, but I'll try, put it in my schedule.
But we're all guilty. Well, I shouldn't say all. Many of us, right?
Hmm.
Many of us are guilty of that taking for granted because I feel that in a way we feel that they're gonna live forever.
Yes.
You know?
I did. I did. I honestly thought, like, I remember when my dad got sick and then, like, his mortality, I was start thinking about his mortality. I was like, you mean my dad is not going to be here forever? Like,
Yep.
that thought was like, huh. I never thought about, you never think about life without certain
Sorry.
important people in your life.
Yes. Yes, Marlene. Exactly. And the same goes, sometimes we are we have the thought, right? You know what? I'm gonna call my mom. I'm gonna call my dad.
Yeah.
And then you're like, nah, they know I love them.
Nah.
I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. And you're right. When that mortality is questioned medically for you,
Mhm.
um, that's when that, that it hits you like lightning, right? It just
Mhm.
hits you, and everything that you have done wrong comes back to you, and you start reevaluating and seeing how you can actually be more involved in their lives. But it's sad that sometimes it takes that, you know
Yeah.
realization of, or the fact that their mortality is in question for us kids sometimes to wake up and say, hey, these are my parents. I should call them more often than my friends.
Mhm.
I should be in their lives more because that's the reason why I'm here.
Right.
But those thoughts do not appear in our head until something major, something big happens
Mhm.
that, brings us to the conclusion that our parents are not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
Same goes with our siblings, right?
Yeah. You think forever. I was like, you always out when my brothers and my sisters start talking crazy. I'd be like, be quiet, knucklehead. You'll be fine. You just don't think. It's like you're my sibling and you're always going to be my sibling, but it's
Yeah.
important. It's important to
It
tell them. Like even though I can't speak for everybody, but I can say for myself. Sometimes it's important. It's important, but also very hard to say those words. I love you, and it really does go a long way when you're going through certain things in your life. When you know that you have the love of people, certain people in your life, it will take you through those hard times.
I don't know if your siblings have ever done this to you, Marlene. So there's a question. One day, my one of my older brothers, I didn't call him as often. I didn't talk to him as often. And then one day, I don't know, something just clicked on me, and I started, calling him weekly, and I did it like 3 weeks in a row. And then my brother's like, am I going to die? Did you know something I don't know? Why are you calling me so much? And I was like, no, it's just that, I just wanted to hear from you more. We haven't really been talking. You're always busy, and life is gets in the way. He's like, that's it, huh? Somebody gave you a diagnosis I don't know. I'm like, no. He's like, oh, you just turned 50. I was like, oh, oh, my heart.
Or it's they think something's wrong with you. They say, "Are you sick? What's wrong?" I was like, "No, no, no. Something is wrong. You've called me twice this
Yeah,
week."
they'll be my sisters. They'll be my sisters. What's wrong? Are you feeling okay? Do you want me to come over? Are the kids okay? I'm like, yeah. Why? Because this is an unscheduled call. You normally call me at this time, this and this day. Are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? And then everybody gets starts calling me. Next day, you okay? So and so just called me. She said that you phoned her today, and I'm like, wow, am I that predictable? Like I call every week.
Wow. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And I think that everybody, honestly, everybody has to work on that more, not taking people for granted. Stop taking your friends, your family member, and especially, your parents and the person you're in a relationship with. It's like if you want those relationships to be peaceful, happy, for you both to be happy. That's the thing that people don't understand. They can think, you can have this imaginary thought that everything is good. You think the relationship is good with whoever it is, your friend, your family, in a romantic relationship, but then it's not. That's why it's important to ask from time to time, are things good with us? Do we have any issues or problems? Because you can think, oh, we're good, but they will be like, no.
Also, Marlene, is why it's important. And I'm very happy that you brought this topic on today and improv, right? Because not many people talk about this, and I'm guilty of this too, to the kids or among siblings. We don't remind each other that, hey, you need to reach out. Not everybody knows that you care, right? Not everybody is well every day, okay every day. Sometimes a phone call from you can brighten up their day. And we don't discuss these topics at length as they should be, because right now everybody's doing their own thing. They don't even remember sometimes that you exist. So it's good to have them bringing up to light so that people can start more discussions at home and have better relationships with family and friends.
Mhm. One thing that I enacted after my parents passed away in our immediate family, we enacted weekly, just getting together, and, it's just open. Like there's no attacking, but, like kindly reminders, or even appreciation things like, I just want to say thank you to so and so for helping me with that on Wednesday. That really meant a lot to me. Or I want to say, we're really proud of so and so for what they're doing in school, or whatever it is, whatever you have going on in your immediate family. I think it's very important because it brings family members together. We shouldn't just talk to each other when we need something. Can you do this for me, or can you do that for me? What about just saying, I just wanted to have this family meeting just to let mom know I love her, or just a brother or sister, cousin, whoever is in your immediate family. Every person in a family member should feel special, heard, and loved.
Exactly. And sometimes I look back at our family, my family, right? I look back at them and the relationship we've had. And well, after my father passed away, I was thinking, like, why couldn't we do this when he was here? Why couldn't we just get together more often, call each other more, make sure we were around dad more before he passed away? That was the one thing that I'm like, why didn't we? And to this day, I haven't been able to answer that question. Like, why couldn't we just do this on a weekly basis? Show dad that, we were together, that we loved them, that we appreciated him, or whatever it is that we had to do. Sometimes we don't realize until it's a little too late.
But sometimes it's just, no matter how much you try, it takes the whole group, for whatever it is, the whole group, the whole family, on the workplace. It takes a commitment from the whole group for things to run smoothly. And if you have a whole group of people that are respectful, that are considerate, compassionate, understanding, then it will work. But when you have too many people within the group that are selfish, that don't care about anybody but themselves, that are not understanding, all of those things. And that's the reason why there can't be a getting together. Because I asked myself the same question before, after certain people in the family had passed away. And I had to say that, yeah, we should have done more, but you can't make something come, you can't make people come together like glue. Unfortunately, some people in family and friends in the workplace, aren't meant to be connected like that because they're just toxic, and that's just what it is. And also, I got to acknowledge what Realist said. Sometimes because of the tension, rivalry, secrets, and drama, that can be a big reason why so there can be some big major issues within family, friends, and in the workplace.
Oh, for sure. That's a deterrent for any closeness sometimes, especially in family, right, Marlene? That's a huge one that they keep them, they're keeping so many things from you. Um, Even sometimes um, secrets that can be important to be revealed to the whole. They keep them bottled up. And that can create, because some members know, some others don't. And coming together, they're probably afraid that they're going to spill the beans.
Hmm. See, and that can be a big issue within families too, when you have family members that only want to keep everything, closed off. They don't want the truth or the reality to come out, that maybe they're not as perfect as they have appeared to be, but they want to keep certain things hidden from family members, but it doesn't make any sense. And it only brings more brokenness in the family instead of coming together and having strength within a family or in your relationships or in your friendships.
Exactly. Hey, Shay.
Hey, Shay.
Hey, Nixie. Hey, Marlene, ladies. Great conversation. I'm listening in the background, and I was like, oh, let me tell her to drop that link. Great, necessary conversation. I hope y'all doing good today.
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Sunday. So
Happy
let's hear
Sunday.
what you have to say, Miss Shay Love.
Well, I mean, y'all have literally been, going back and forth with some great stuff. But in regards to relationships, I mean, y'all made some great points. It doesn't matter what type of relationship it is, it has to be maintained, whether it's a relationship between a man and a woman, you're a child, your neighbor, a best friend. Relationships must be maintained, and today so many relationships fail normally because one party fails to maintain, and that causes the other party to become overwhelmed. So we tend to want things to go a certain way, but we tend to not want to put in the work or put forth the effort to get the outcome that we're looking for, if that makes sense. So a lot of times when things aren't going so well, it's because we're not maintaining things the way that we should have, and then lack of communication, mixed in with amongst other things. Before you know it, things are falling apart. And again, you can apply that to any relationship. The one way to remain, strongly united, no matter what the relationship is we have to pour into them. We have to maintain them. We can never take one another for granted. Just like Willis was saying in the comments, a lot of times people come together relationship wise when something happens in a negative manner. Well, how about just maintaining in general? You know how sometimes you'll go through things in your life, but as long as you're maintaining the relationship with whomever it is that's going through something, they don't feel some type of a way if you're not able to be there for them. Because let's be real, we all have things that go on in our lives. Shay may get really busy when Marlene is going through something. Shay may get really busy when Nixie is going through something. I may not be there for you like I'd like to. However, if I've been maintaining the relationship all along, that alone lets you know that, hey, I care and I would be there if I could be, if that makes sense. So it's just very important to maintain relationships all the time, because there are going to be times where things just may happen where you may have to fall back for a minute, and people won't hold that against you if you've been maintaining all along.
So true. So true, Shay. So true. And I'm guilty of that sometimes, that I neglect to continue to pour myself over like the people that I care about. And um, but the thing with me is that I try to always how can I put it? I'm very sensitive, right? If I've been calling you like three times and you haven't called me back, even though sometimes I know that person's been there for me. I'm a little selfish and I want that phone call back. Or I want that and I get, feeling like you say, some type of a way. And I'm working on that because I know that that person's always been there for me, but I'm greedy and I want that attention when I do. So we have to work on that.
I wouldn't say greedy. It's just we're needy beings to a certain extent. We're all needy. I mean, there's a certain amount of neediness, if that's a word, that's healthy. It doesn't get unhealthy until to the point where you can't focus, or you literally can't perform, or do what needs to be done because you're just so clingy and all of that. But we all need attention. And if people or if we're making sure we're tying up those loose ends and we're maintaining these relationships, firstly by always thinking of others, it's always like we're set up for success in terms of no one is really lacking.
Hmm.
If we all, it's hard to cause a change in others. We got to cause a change within ourselves, and then we attract that kind of thing in. And before you know it, we're surrounded by that kind of positivity. So,
That, yeah, that is so true. That is so true.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add what you were saying a little bit earlier, Shay. Talking about communication, and communication is the glue to all relationships. Once we stop communicating, and not just communicating, but healthy communication, not yelling or giving people the silent treatment. So the healthy forms of communication, all of the things that I learned as I matured as a woman, that we think a lot of times that we're communicating with people effectively, but it's very important to ask questions to make sure that, like, a person, are they getting what they need. That's why sometimes we get blindsided because of a lack of communication or ineffective communication with a person, and we're like, why are they thinking that way, or why did they come at me like that? It's because you probably weren't having the communication that you need to have with that person.
right. And where there is the absence of communication, the assumption factor comes into play. And so people will, their attitudes and their moves will be based off assumptions. And, once you get into that assumption category, oh, it's all downhill from there. So you're absolutely right. Communication is key. And communication is key with the person you're in the relationship with. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not nothing wrong with having those trusted individuals we vent to and we talk to. That's absolutely okay. And in most cases, that's absolutely necessary. But what happens is we tend to not communicate with the people that we're in the relationship with itself. Yeah, it's okay to go to that confidant, but how about you relate that same message to whomever you're in the relationship with? That's something that causes so much division in relationships. You're telling everyone else about your problems except the person who could actually fix the problem.
Well,
Outsiders in the relationships, they're not going to be able to contribute effectively to resolving that problem. The only person who can do that is the person that you're having the conflict with. So that's something we need to keep in mind as well. Yeah, have your trusted confidants, but the meat of the conversation needs to be had with the individuals we're having the problems with.
yeah, that's good, Shay. And I'm just going to add to that as well. There's certain things that you have, if you have an issue with whoever it is, whatever relationship, make sure you go and you have the conversations with the person, like you said, before you go to other people. And there's also certain things that are happening between you and another person that other people don't need to know about. That's something that I had to learn as I matured, that everything,
Right,
even though you can say things, it does not mean that you should.
right.
Hmm. That is
That's
true.
right.
That
That's
is
why I say
true.
go to trusted individuals. See, a lot of times that's one thing too. When we say go to people, sometimes you just bite off the wrong end, I guess, when it comes down to that, because we tend to go to people whom we think we can trust. And sometimes that's what's led so many people to so many, I'm sorry, that's what led to so much drama. That it
Hmm.
goes back to where we talk about having discernment, because see, sometimes you could be trusting the enemy. You could be trusting
Yes.
someone who only wants to see you go in an opposite direction of good. Okay, I've been there. I've been in a situation before discernment took a hold of me, to where you're literally confiding into people who they probably could care less. They probably care nothing about you, what's going on in your life. And again, that's a learning lesson. Just like, Marlene says, we mature, we grow, because that immature mind, you want someone to hear you out. And sometimes you may say things to people, that you may not, necessarily should say, but you feel like you can trust them. And again, sometimes we're just trusting the wrong people. And of course, that's not your fault. A lot of times we'll try to, blame self, or someone to try to blame you for trusting someone who, turns around and run their mouth. No, it's not your fault. I look at it more as a learning lesson. It's a lesson that you learn. You learn that you just can't trust everybody, because the person that you confide in, that speaks volumes on them when they turn around and, cause more division, or go, spread your business or whatnot. That speaks on the type of person they are. Nothing's wrong with us because we trusted you, but we should learn from that lesson moving forward, so that we don't find ourselves in that situation again.
Right, right, and exactly. And we have to also understand that not everybody that, well, I had to learn. I can't speak for everybody, but myself, I had to learn that not everybody that we have in our life that says that they love us actually does. I had
Ooh,
to
that's a
open up my
word.
eyes to that one, that just because you're saying it with your mouth, your actions are proving otherwise.
That's right.
And
That's right.
sometimes when you trust, like Shay said, when you trust in the wrong person, sometimes that can hurt your relationship even more, sometimes to the point of no return.
Yeah.
Because if you say the wrong thing to this person, instead of discussing it with your significant other or a friend, or that you're having the issue with, they say it adding 2 or 3 cents more, right, to that
Oh, yes.
change.
Mm-hmm.
Your
Yeah.
relationship can end because of that. Even if it wasn't related to this person the same way, they add more, and now you end up, breaking up or not having that friend anymore because you trusted the wrong person. So you have to be very careful on who you open up to.
Yeah, yeah, and in addition to that, Nexie, I have to say that, sometimes when we have certain relationships, we got to understand that there's certain people who, I could be your friend, but it doesn't mean I have to be their friend. And I had to learn to have my own relationship with this person and my own relationship with this person, and each does not need to know each other's business and what we're
That's
doing.
right.
You got to learn to keep certain relationships separate because of personalities and all kinds
They
of different
clash.
things.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's a real friend there, Marlene. That's a real friend indeed. Because I know I deal with that myself. I have friends who, for whatever reason, they may not, fancy each other. But me being a mature individual, I know how to handle that situation. It's just like you say, I'm going to still be the best friend to them both individually. But our friendships are individually between one another. When I'm with one, we don't speak of the other. And if one goes to bring up something about that other one, we're just say, hey, we're going to just turn away from that conversation. We're going to shut it down. That's the definition of being a true friend. People want to try to tell you who you can and can't be friends with because they don't like them. That has nothing to do with me. Whom you don't fancy, that doesn't have anything to do with me if that person hasn't put me in a position or a situation to feel some type of a way.
Hmm.
So yeah, the way that you do that is like Marlene mentioned, you keep y'all's friendship, whatever goes on between you two, that's just that. And you have to keep it separate because anything other than that, you're going to be frowned upon. So that's a situation to be in, but it takes a strong-minded person as well because it is easy. I know people today, y'all, who just because a friend didn't like them, they stop liking them or say they stop talking to people. And that's weak-minded when someone can literally come in and tell you what you should and shouldn't do. And as an adult, we should never fall prey to that trap. So yeah, you just have to keep those relationships separate and don't let them intertwine. That way everyone stays happy and we can all, get along.
Right.
And I'm gonna add this, and I'm gonna extend this to family, to couples, right? I always told my children that um, to be very careful on how they relate the problems between us, right, parents and them, to their significant other. Because if you're constantly telling this other person whatever is going on between you and your parents, you can create animosity that didn't have to be there. Had you kept whatever happens between us to yourself. Now, this person could have had a great relationship with us, your parents, but because you're constantly telling them everything that we're not in tune with you, now this person has is feeling some type of a way towards us and cannot bond with
Mhm.
us anymore because of everything that you have said. So I always tell my kids, whatever goes between us, whatever problems we have with you, is between you and us. Don't go on to your husband or wife and tell him everything that goes on, because this person loves you. So what's going to happen is they're going to start resenting us, even though the problem has
Oh
nothing to
yes.
do with them. So we're not going to be
Hmm.
able to be a family united if you're
That's
constantly
right.
doing that. You're still going to love us. We're still going to love you, but we're never going to be able to have that bond with this other person because we
That's
keep on
right.
telling our business. And
You
that,
are
I
spot
think,
on.
that's a very wise thing to do. I always kept my issues between my husband and I between us. My parents didn't know. His parents didn't know. It was between us. That's all.
Yeah. And I was really blessed to have a mother that told me that one day, because I remember telling my mom some issues that I was having in my relationship. And my mom said, "Baby, I love you." But she said, "But that's between the two of you. I don't need to hear about that." And it was good because it checked me. And not everybody has people like that in my life. And I applied it to other relationships, that the things that you have going on, you need to work it out with them, and keep it that way, and don't insert other people that have nothing to do with it, because some people will always, no matter what, but because they love you, they will always take your side, and sometimes you are the one that is dead wrong.
Oh, Marlene. Oh, honey, I wish I had some sound drops to go behind that
Oh
because
no,
you are
no shade.
absolutely right. I'm trying to tell you, family. Baby, she was spot on with that. Your
No, but
family will be believing you. Baby, hold on, y'all. Let me get my thoughts in line. Because I'm telling you, I've been in that exact situation before where where the wrongdoer, the person who's literally the liar, the one who's literally doing everything, they're telling their family this and this, that, and the third, and you're literally the bad guy here. And so you'll be around here believing this person because they're your family. And that's why I say, we have to do better when it comes down to that. Because that's something I had to grow into. Like, I mean, yeah, I love you, you're my family, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And I thank God for a changed mind, because I go by this whole right is right, wrong is wrong, and I don't care who you are. That's the method I use. So whether you're my blood family, you're my neighbor, you've been my best friend for 20 years, I look at things as right is right, wrong is wrong, because sometimes family is wrong. You'll know your loved one has been a liar their whole life, a thief their whole life, and a cheater their whole life. They get into a relationship, things are going well, and this person, their significant other reaches out when things starts going sour, and you'll side with your family member. You know they were a thief. You know that person isn't lying. They've been a thief their whole life. They've been a liar their whole life. They've never been a good person. But you're going to still sit up here and side with your family. To me, that's a definition of toxic family dynamic, because no one's even helping correct you. That's probably why you're the way that you are. You've gone your whole life and people just looking at it as, oh, we're family. Family can be toxic. Family can be wrong, and family can keep you in this place where you're never evolving in an excellence. You're never evolving towards excellence. You're either stagnated and stuck, or you're always barreling out of control. So Marlene, let me tell you, that was a word. A lot of times you're believing the person who's full of crap, and we have to get better about that. We have to.
But Shay, but my mama was the type of mom. I had the best mom ever when it came to that. My mom was like, "I love you and you my baby, but you wrong. You need to go and fix that. So I'm not going to insert myself, but you wrong." And she'd be like, "Bye, go back and fix it. I'll see you later." She
And
Yes.
would. She would
Shay,
say,
Hmm.
she would say, "What you
eh,
doing here? You need to go and talk to them. This ain't my business. Go fix it. Bye." She would push me out the door to bye. I'd be like, "But I was
eh,
no bye."
yeah, Marlene, I have a sister like that. And Shay, all I said is about when
I
you said
tried
about
to.
this, when you said about the sounds, I was like, no, 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 no soundboard, no, 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 Shay. You're okay with that
I'm gonna have to
sound?
get word to hook me up with that because I'm telling you,
Nope,
I'd have been
nope.
dropping some bombs when Marlene was saying that, baby. I would have dropped some bombs.
But you know, it's
But yes,
something that we need to keep in check. You know, we need to make sure that we're not making the mistakes that, Shay is bringing up, is that don't side with the wrong side of it. Make sure that you're evaluating. If people come and tell you and you cannot say, don't come to me, at least be
that's right.
open enough to say, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I know you. I've known you my whole life, or I've known you for a little bit, and I know how you are. So I'm not sure that this person is wrong here. I have to evaluate it from a different perspective. So you have to
Right.
be very careful on who you side with.
You know
Yep.
what? Also, to add on to that, a lot of times people will go along with the okey doke. I'm gonna tell you, jealousy shows up in so many various forms, and I truly
Mm-hmm.
believe that that's one form. Think about it. If I'm jealous of you, why would I tell you anything to make you better? If I'm jealous of you, why would if I know you have a good woman, I know you have a good wife, I know she's good to you, I know she's been nothing but good and kind to you, and I know you're out here on the foolery, but I'm jealous of you. But see, you don't know it. See, we have to pay attention to the underlining things, to the very subtle things that show that people are jealous or feel some type of a way. Because if that person is telling you anything other than go make things right with your spouse, anything other than, you should do this, you should do that, things to help you better your relationship, that could be an undercover enemy. That's just straight up. That could be jealousy itself. We have to pay attention to advice. Like, meditate on that advice sometimes, because sometimes, again, you won't understand how much animosity or jealousy is lying there if you don't sit and just meditate on what they, what their response was, or how, what their help was.
Yep. And I'm so grateful that I had a good friend a long time ago, and what they told me that, don't insert your things into things that it's like certain things, it's not your business. You know, we sometimes need to be that friend or family member to say, while I do appreciate you thinking of me so much to ask my opinion, but I really don't think that this is for me to say. I think you should go and talk to that person, or I really don't know both sides. I hear what you're saying, but really, what was both sides of it? And we tend to, a lot of times when it comes to our family, our friends, or our loved ones, whoever it is, we tend to, as soon as they say something like we're on the attack mode, you automatically believe everything that they say. But also, you got to take in, what if they could be the wrongdoer? That part.
That's
That's
true.
right. That's true.
Hmm.
Yeah. And a lot
That
of
is so
times they
true.
are. A lot of times they are. Not saying that it happens all the time, but a lot of times they are. And to touch bases on what you were just saying earlier as well, when you tell people certain things that are going on, like you say, you're the one with the attachment to your problem. You love them. And so you have to be
Hmm.
mindful of what you say, because, like y'all were just saying a minute ago, people will start to have hate towards them. They don't have the
Hmm.
same bond or connection. Meanwhile, you were mad, you were in your feelings, you were going through something, you still love them. You understand? But whomever you've spoken with, see, you changed their whole outlook on those individuals. They don't care anything for them anymore because you've told
Hmm.
them certain things. Meanwhile, you, with this big heart who truly loves that person who did you wrong, you have forgiven them and moved on. That's something that we have to learn as we grow in life as well. I think we've all probably been in some of these situations here that we're talking about, but that's something that you learn in life through maturity as well. It's something that will kind of shape you into, knowing what to or not to do in the future. You got to be careful with that. You got to be careful, because people will hold grudges because they don't have that bond.
Yeah. Or they will not be able to bond with that person because, of whatever it's happening between the two of you. So
Right. That's
for
why you have to be
me,
careful.
So for me, it was important to tell my children that because, I like their significant other, and that person is good to me. That person is kind to me. So now I have two married children, right? Three actually, but my other daughter doesn't live around here. But the two that do, I get along very well with, with my daughter-in-law and my son-in-law. So whatever is happening between them, of course, as long as it's not abuse, right? I don't want to know about it because it will make me feel some type of a way against them because you're my child. And if you go on and tell him what I said to you as my child, he's going to start feeling a weird way about me. So, don't do that, because then the bond of family or togetherness is not going to be able to hold.
Right. And you know what? I see it from both standpoints too. Because I'm not going to lie, depending on the dynamic of the family, because now sometimes reaching out is necessary. It's just people are different. So you got to be really careful about who you reach out towards, because I can see my mom was the type of mom who she never pried in my business, but I could go to her with anything and she would listen thoroughly and she would, make a proper response. So I think it's more so, I get it from the standpoint of, maybe not saying so much, but as people, it's like we should just be better people and know how to retain information as well. Because talking about things, just think people pay therapists thousands of dollars a year to tell them personal things. And this is somebody they're paying. So when someone comes to you and they're willing to tell you something that is so embarrassing, so degrading, they trusted you. They trusted that you weren't going to say anything. They trusted that you were going to take it to the grave. And that goes back to discernment. Could you really trust that person? Because there's a possibility that you should not have been trusting that person. If y'all get what I'm saying, so we just need to be better people. If you come to me and tell me something, let me tell you the type of person I am and why I know everybody's business. Because I forget. I'm going to forget it until you make me remember. And I kid you not, know it sounds jokingly, but I'm so serious. Like, I'm going to listen, I'm going to respond, and I'm going to be there. But the way my mind is set up, it's like I'm going to push it off somewhere. So you don't have to worry about me telling anybody else because it's not at the forefront of my mind anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I had to grow and mature into being that friend. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Way back when, you may have told me something and I may have want to told you business. Okay, way back when. But as I grew, as I matured, I realized that that is wrong. If they come to you, Shay, that means they trust you. So you need to make a response by keeping that in. So yeah, I see it from both angles there. We really need discernment though, y'all, so that we know who to trust.
Yep, and one of the things that I appreciate the most is having good mentors and friends and an amazing mother who told me that you need to spend more time with people don't really talk about it enough, but you need to spend quality time with anybody who is important to you.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Who you're in a romantic relationship with, your friends, your siblings, whoever you really care about. And I hear people say I'm busy, but you make time honestly for the people that you want to make time for.
That's right. No way around it. There's no way around it. You make time for what you want to make time for. Let me tell you, honey, I could be running late for work and I want me a frozen caramel frappe. You best believe I'll hit that corner real quick if I really want it. Late for work and all. So you're absolutely right. You are going to make time. I don't care if that time pushes and wedges into something else you have going on. There is no such thing. There is no such thing. And I just wish everybody understood that fully. You're right. There's no such thing as I'm too busy. Oh, I didn't have time. No, 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 no. You make time for what's important. I remember an experiment online one time where someone said, go through the roll of your camera and whatever you have the most pictures of, that's what means the most to you. And I never really thought about it like that. So I'm like, okay, let me come roll through my camera and see, and it's all my kids. My kids, me and my husband. That's all I mean from A to Z, just my family. And as everybody was checking and coming back and responding, everybody's like, oh wow, wow, wow. Some people it was their pet. Some people it was their car. Everybody had their different things, but you're gonna spend a lot of time with. You're gonna pay a lot of attention to things that are important. You're gonna talk about what's important to you. You know, if a person has a family and they never talk about them, well, how important can your family be? Just think, a person can have an automobile they talk about 24/7, and that's a car. So yeah, we make time for what's important. We talk about and we nurture what's most important to us. There's no way around that. Anything else, someone is just trying to manipulate us into thinking otherwise, and it's a straight out lie.
That's why it's so important. Like you said, Shay, nurture those relationships. And I can't even lie to y'all. I was not always the nurturer person in, my romantic relationship with my siblings, with my friends, because I kind of took them for granted and thought that, oh, they know how I am. They know I'm busy. But just because we may be busy, but we're spending all this time doing all kinds of things that are irrelevant and don't matter. But if somebody really matters to you, it doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes. Say, I have 5 minutes. I just wanted to check on you, or let's just quickly have a drink. I just wanted to have a few minutes with you to have a conversation.
Yep. And sometimes I'm guilty of that too. Very, very guilty. Sometimes I let days, sometimes a week or two go by that, I don't check on those that I are very important to me. Um, and I was blaming, the pandemic, right? I was so busy working. They should know that I was busy working, but got stuck on that mode. So I'm breaking, that excuse now, and trying to reach out to the people that mean the most to me, being friends, or my family and extended family members that have always been there for me, and just enjoying the conversation, even if it's like Marlene said, a 5-minute conversation, just enjoying it, and say, I'll call you back. I just wanted to make sure, and I want you to know that I'm thinking of you, and I love you, and I care for you. Just hang in there. I'll be back soon, and I'll call you back. And even just that will
Mhm.
make people very, very happy.
It
Right.
sure will. You never know what people are dealing with or what they're going through. And I kid you not, you said a mouthful. You're absolutely right. Sometimes that phone call comes through right on time. That's why I'm in the habit now where if someone crosses my mind, I go ahead and contact them. If it's after hours or it's late, I may send you a text message. You may get a text message at 11 o'clock at night. I'm sorry. You crossed my mind. And I had to learn to do that. Life is short. 1 minute they're a thought in your head, the next minute you're picking out clothes to go say your final goodbye. So I make sure that if you pop up in my head, I'm going to call, like you say, 5 minutes. It doesn't even have to be 5 minutes. Hey, great, you're alive. I remember my cousin answered the phone. She said, hello. I said, oh, girl, good, you're alive. I said it just like that. Oh, you're alive. I was thinking about you. Hey, I love you. And I don't even think I was on the phone with her maybe 2 minutes, because the truth of the matter is we all live busy lives, some busier than others. So I had to understand that, some people can't necessarily reach out all the time. However, you're going to have time eventually to reach out. It's not an excuse. And believe it or not, the person that hurts the most is self when we don't. Think about how something ends up happening to somebody and you're like, oh man, I hadn't even spoken to them. So yeah, it's best to just, even if you reach out, even shoot them a message. They'll get it. Just letting someone know you're thought about. And then again, you could be digging them out of a hole that they're currently in for the day, emotionally wise. They could be going through something, and just hearing from you can make the difference.
Yep. Yep. And that's why it's so important to have take etch out certain moments of the day to just check on people that you care about. Send some text messages, or saying things like that. It really does matter to people, and like I say it all the time, that you never know what somebody is going through. Just because a person looks like everything is okay with them, people don't tell everything because of they don't want to be judged. And you don't know what that person is going through mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically. So if you don't have a sort of closeness and a bond with that person, you would never know.
That's right. You're absolutely right. If you're not close or to these people or to the individuals, you will not know what they're going through. You're absolutely right, Marlene. So many people go through a lot. Remember, I was saying how even when I get on here and do motivation, sometimes it's at my weakest moments, y'all. Sometimes I feel like crap. Sometimes I have a lot going on. I have a lot weighing on my heart. But after I come on and just spit a little motivation, the fact that I think about other people during that time, it's almost like God just comforts me even more, because I'm literally thinking about someone else and not myself. I'm telling you, selfishness is just, oh man, when you can literally put someone else before you and you're just not always worried about self, is very fulfilling. You feel fulfilled. And by the time I would come on here and talk to you guys, and we do go back and forth engaging with one another, I feel completely different. I feel completely different. So yeah, people aren't always on here just showing how or what it is exactly that they're going through. And sometimes you don't, what's that saying? You don't look half like what you're going through. So yeah, there is a way to maintain and get through those moments. It is, but we must keep in mind that we never know what someone's going through. So still be kind and courteous to one another.
Yeah. And you said a mouthful with that, Shay, because I can say for myself, like, we all pass judgments on other people. We automatically think we know somebody and what they're dealing with and going through, but we really don't. And, just one word that you can say, I was thinking about you. I love you. You matter to me. Hang in there. Thanks for being my friend. Thanks for being my sister, brother, cousin, whoever you are in somebody's life. Just acknowledging a person's existence in your life can make a person want to stick around just one more day.
That is true, Marlene. I've been on that, you know, side of the equation many a times, and I do have to fault myself because sometimes I think of people and I'm like, oh, it's okay, I'll call him later. Oh, it's okay, I call him later. And probably at that moment that I was thinking about them, after I speak to them, after I make that phone call or I send that text, they tell me, oh, yeah, that day I was getting my diagnosis. Or that day, so and so got into an accident or so and so passed away. And I keep on telling myself, I have to start listening to that little voice inside of me when it says, hey, call so and so, you know? And why are you thinking about this person? So reach out, and that's what I'm working on as of now.
Right. And that's so good that you're thinking that way, Nexi. Because a lot of times we don't really pay attention because we're so focused on our own stuff that we have going on, that we have to understand that other people may want to be there to support us, but they just have too much going on. And I had to learn for myself, just because somebody it has not checked on me, it doesn't mean that they don't care about me. It doesn't mean they're jealous of me or any of those things, because that's how I used to always think. Oh, they don't like me. They don't care about me. But I never would think that maybe their issues that they have going on is even more than mine.
You said a mouthful, Marlene, and also keep this in mind, y'all. That's the biggest trick of the enemy. That's one thing he likes to do. He likes to keep us isolated. Think about what God's word says about a healing and how we are to be a blessing to one another, uplift one another. Think about it. A lot of times, the biggest trick of the enemy is for you to hold everything in. Don't say anything to anybody. You know what? You got it. You strong. You can get through this by yourself. But what if you're not really strong? What if you can't really get through it by yourself? Think about that. An idle mind is a devil's playground. So if I can isolate you and have you by yourself, I can also cause your situation to worsen to a certain extent because you're alone. You're not talking to anybody. And in those moments, a lot of times we're not even talking to God, which is the moment to talk to him. So we have to keep that in mind as well. I know sometimes we want to hold things in, but the best thing I say to do is, just of course pray about it, and just pray. Even if you have to pray for, be direct, pray for God to put someone into your life who you can speak to. It can happen. I know it happened for me. I've met people right here on this app, Marlene being one. Marlene is a true sister. She truly does live her life. Marlene is every bit of excellence that she shows here on YouTube, y'all. This is y'all, I am testifying to this. She is so beautiful inside and out, so encouraging. She's not just on here, playing. She's not signing out and living a double life. She truly cares. She'll reach out to me after hours. She'll check on me, y'all. I'm sorry, Marlene, but I got to give you your flowers real quick because you are awesome. I truly do love you as a person because you are everything that we talk about. Sometimes people don't even realize that sometimes you are the things that people are talking about, they truly are. And she truly is. So yeah, even pray to God and he will send you someone a friend, someone to be right there while you're going through things in life. So yeah, don't fall prey to one of the enemy's biggest entrapments or illusions is to make you think that you're going through it by yourself and to have us closed up so we won't reach out for others. So we got to keep that in mind too.
Right, Shay. And in addition to that, with tapping into your spiritual connection, also you have to understand that, you have to open up your mouth. A closed mouth can't get fed. And
That's right.
I had to learn for myself to check my ego, to not let myself get, involved in, oh, what other people will think and what's their assumptions and judgments. But I don't mean just anybody, somebody that has put in the time and the work to prove that they are somebody that you can trust. And they may be there to support you, and you're there holding this heavy burden on your head and your heart, when you could have a conversation or just venting about something. It will do so much to release all of the weight that you may be carrying, and you don't have to endure it. So don't think that you have to do everything on your own or you have to be perfect. Everybody needs somebody.
That is so true, Marlene. That is so, so true. And the problem sometimes that we have, like Shay said, that we trusted maybe in the past the wrong person, right? To be able to convey what our worries were, or the day we were having, how we were feeling. And what I can say to people that have been burned like I have is that it's not always the case. You may find in someone, open up again. You may find in someone that you can trust, that is going to keep whatever you tell that person just between the two of you, regardless of what goes on between the two of you. Even if your friendship ends, you can always find that person that can always be there for you and will keep your secrets, as like I said, even after it ends. It doesn't matter. Not everybody will be that negative person that you once trusted. So open up to friendships, open up to whoever can hear your pain, your sorrow, your concerns. So don't just close up because someone else betrayed you or someone else did you
Right.
wrong. Try to make
Right.
sure that you always keep that avenue open, so that you can find somebody else that is going to be more trustworthy than the one before.
Right, Nexie. And I'm so glad that you said that, Nexie, because for a long time, we can put ourselves into that category of we're broken. And it's so important, the words that you say out of your mouth. And it's so important to stop calling yourself broken. It's whatever you say is what you become. So if you always are saying, I'm hurt, I'm broken, I'm poor, I'm sick, stop saying those things out of your mouth. And a lot of things can shift by just the power of your tongue. It can help and it can heal. It can mend and soothe and all of those things. So it's so important to stop saying that, I was hurt once by friendship. I was hurt in my romantic relationship. Yes, you may have, but you may not have been the person that you are today with the tools that you have now. You've matured, you've grown up. So don't just throw in the towel when it comes to friendships and romance just because somebody did something wrong, because you may be holding yourself back from having a wonderful relationship with friends, and a future spouse that you may have closed the door for, and they're right there waiting for you. So we punish ourselves sometimes and put ourselves in a category and are making our own self miserable when we have the power to change it.
Yes, ma'am, you are right. And one thing, y'all, to keep in mind, some people are just toxic. There's no way around it. I don't care how you label it, I don't care what angle you look at it from. Some people are just toxic. Some people is like talking or just watching paint dry. Okay, there's no changes the whole time. You're just sitting there. Okay, so some people are literally just toxic, and it's so unfortunate because a lot of times that's the type of a person who we love. You understand? That could be that mother, that father, that spouse, that child. And it is so hard to accept the fact that they are just toxic because we hold on to the love that we have for them. But I'm here to tell you that sometimes you just have to love people from afar. It doesn't mean that I don't love you. It just means that you're toxic. And if you are toxic, nothing is going to stop your toxicity from seeping into me or affecting me if I'm in your presence more than I should be, or if we're around one another more than I should be. So yeah, that's one of the hardest pills to swallow, is that some people are just toxic, and no matter what we say, what we do, they're going to be the way that they are. We just have to try to, I know me personally, I just had to pray about the whole situation, because again, it could be a member of your own household and they're just toxic, and you're fighting and beating your head against the wall thinking you're going to get a change. But the truth of the matter is, the only person responsible for changing self is self. So yeah, we have to be able to accept that and move forward, y'all, because we do continuously stab ourselves all over when we do try to remain in the presence of toxicity like that.
Right. And I that's good, Shay. And what I also learned is that not all relationships that we have in our life are relationships that we should keep. Yes, they're the healthy ones. Those are the ones that you maintain. But I had to also learn that just because I love people and just because they say they love me, you could be involved in a toxic love, using
Yeah.
relationships, doormat relationships. And once you stop allowing them to use you and you stop being a doormat to these people, then that relationship is over because it was never healthy to begin with.
Oh, yes, ma'am. It'll end quick, won't it, Marlene? I'm gonna tell you, once you put your foot down, people will be wondering, oh wow, but that relationship isn't going on 15, 20 plus years. No, once you put your foot down, you said a mouthful, Marlene. Once you put your foot down and think you are letting it know, hey, this isn't acceptable. I'm not going for this. I'm not going for that. The relationship is surely going to go ahead and end and close on out. It's no way around it. And when it does, it gives you all the leverage that you need anyway. You understand that it wasn't what you thought it was, because anybody who can just walk away from a situation like that, that wasn't true love from the beginning. With true love, when you truly love somebody, guys, true love never goes away. Let me say that again. When you truly love somebody, you never stop. I don't care, baby. You can have some things done to you, will never stop. You can distance yourself. Now you can separate from them and going on your separate ways, but you're gonna still love them. But if someone can treat you like the scum of the earth, act like you never existed, and all of that, there was never any love there, honey. Even during the phases when you thought that it was love, it was not. So yeah, y'all. We just got to be careful out here, because I'm telling you, we're living in a different time, and it's easier to manipulate people for whatever reason. It's like we're in these times where the manipulators are even smarter than they used to be. They watch you, so they know exactly where to come in at and hit you with manipulation.
Right. Just like the puppet, the puppet knows what strings to pull.
Right, right.
Oh, I thought next were you going to
Uh,
say
oh,
something?
I was giving a mouthful of things, but I couldn't get the mic off. So I was going all around. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm so sorry. I was going
Yes,
on
I
and
hear you
on.
now.
Thank you. I was going on and on and on and on. And I was like, okay, why isn't she responding? My mic was muted. It's true, Shay. You said something earlier about those toxic people that sometimes we keep in our lives and they're not really needed, but we keep them anyway. And I'm still working on finding out why it is that we do that. But once I got rid of people like that, I started feeling like I was able to breathe. I was able to have better relationships with my other friends. Like if they were friends and I let these toxic ones go, I felt like I had a better relationship with my other friends that were non-toxic. I don't know if that makes sense. And the same
Makes
goes for
perfect
family
sense.
members. And the same
Makes
went for
perfect
family
sense.
members.
Hmm.
The minute I let those toxic ones go, and I started focusing on the ones that were actually there for me, and that no matter what were always going to be there for me loyally, I started feeling so much better. That relationship improved so much once I let go of the other toxicity.
Right. And I will say, add to that, Nexie. A lot of times you don't even know that you're into the toxic relationship because they have manipulated your mind because you've been through so much things, and you're blinded into thinking certain things because you just, yeah, they just have you, you know, working so well as their puppet. So that's
You
what
Yeah.
that's what I had to learn too. That sometimes you can't see it because they've been such a master of manipulation to you.
Yeah,
you
you have to be, it comes in hindsight in those situations. Once you're looking at things in hindsight, it's like once it's behind you, that's when you really start to notice it. You're right. It's like you're literally blinded when you're in a situation, wrapped up in all types of things. Like your mind is literally clouded because you're wrapped up in it. But once you release yourself from being in their clutches and you're not in their presence, that's when the bigger picture starts to really show. And you see, wow. I know I've had so many wow moments that my head has been spinning sometimes.
and it's funny because these people are so manipulative that when you don't even want to call them, you don't even want to talk to them, but they manipulate you so well, and they're so toxic. You find yourself, even when you don't have time, making time to call these people so that they don't get upset, or I don't know, it's just a weird thing that then you hang up and you say, or you let that text go and say, why did I text this person? Like, why? I'm super busy. I haven't even texted my mom, or I haven't even texted my dad, or I haven't texted my siblings or my kids, but I texted this person. Like, what is it? You start asking those questions, like, how manipulated are you by this person's, ways, that you had to text that person so that it wouldn't. I don't know. I don't even know. I'm not there yet. I'm still figuring that one
Yeah,
out.
well, I just passed from that zone, Nexus, so I can tell you, the reason why you go back is because they got you through a certain thing in your life. Like there's some sort of a connection. Like they help you get through something. They taught you something. They supported you. And also they could have been a person who you didn't see what they were doing because they shielded you. A lot of times these people are narcissists, or they have some sort of master manipulation tactic that they were using on you, and you were used to them doing something, but that was all just a facade, a shield. But that wasn't really them. They were just doing that just to hook you and bait you into something. And then once you start getting involved with them, then the real them appears. So that's the reason why you always go back, because you want the person that you met when you initially met them, and you'll never get that back because that wasn't them.
That's right. That's right. They got you hooked. They got, and it's actually attached to. I mean, it gets deep. Like you'll literally be attached and to them just like you would be to a drug. Just like you can be attached or addicted to a certain drug in particular, and when you want it, you want it. You think about how you feel when you don't have it or whatnot, but it's like you're just always searching that high from the first time, just basically for the most part. And you're right, it's all a facade, and you lean on the good memories. That's what it is. And a lot of times people stay tied into unhealthy relationships. A lot of times, first and foremost, we're holding on to the potential. It's called hope, and it's nothing wrong with having hope. I know I talked about that before. Hope can keep you in situations, baby, that you really need to break away from, and will be inflicting all type of pains onto self. That's why we have to focus on healing ourselves first. See, a lot of times we're so neglected because that big heart we have, we're trying to heal somebody else. Think about the words that I'm saying. Trying to heal somebody else. But once you heal self, you realize, wow, and that healed you is not going to accept certain things. Things are going to start to change. In other words, until one day it's just, hey, you're going to put your foot down or whatnot, and you may go your separate ways, but they'll still be on your mind. Just like you were saying, next, they're still on your mind because of how it was in the beginning. And it's like you'll just erase the bad memories. You just erase those and you go back to the good ones. And in some cases, the good times were only good because you made them that way. Sometimes it's because of if you think hard enough, you probably put forth all of the effort into those good moments that you did have.
No, and I will add to that, Shay, that sometimes we think that something was a good memory, and if you really do evaluate, it wasn't good. You just wanted it to be good because you were searching and you're grasping for straws, and you want to make this sort of pretense that your life was a certain way, and if you really are honest, it wasn't good at all. It was just you accepted that at that time.
That is true. That is true. But it's still like, and how is it that our mind plays those tricks on us, right? When we're not really paying attention, I guess, or we're really hoping. I think it's the hope in us that makes those ugly memories turn into good ones, right? We're hoping this works out. We're hoping this person is nice. We're hoping. So I hope for a better somebody or a better something creates that illusion, because I have done that. I go back in time and evaluate certain things, and I'm like, oh my God, what he or she said at that moment was horrible. What he or she did at that moment was horrible. And why then in my mind is this the best trip ever? When I look at the pictures, right? It wasn't. You start thinking back the minute you end that toxic relationship. You go back in memory lane and start seeing all the points that you missed, all the clues that you missed along the way, that this person should have never been in your life to begin with, or for not for that long of a time.
Right, right, exactly. I just wow. I just feel like this is has been a phenomenal topic, and relationships must be maintained. All the relationships that we talked about today, with your parents, with your romantic relationship, with your friendships, with your job, all relationships must be maintained, and it takes work, a lot of work, and you just have to understand: is this person, are they worth being maintained? Is it worth, or is it this toxic? So you have to evaluate those things. So final words. Let's hear from Shay first.
Yeah, just adding on to what you said, Marlene, and again, another great topic as always. Relationships must be maintained. Yeah, we just need to make sure that we're giving it our all. Make sure that we're striving to be better beings ourselves every day. Because as you transition into being a better you, you're going to become a better person that's going to exude outward. So whoever you're in a relationship with, hopefully, that can be picked up by them, and that can, alone attribute to a better and a healthier relationship. So yeah, y'all, we got to maintain these relationships, not neglect one another, um, be willing to put the other's interests, ahead of ours in some cases. Okay. And it can work out, but we just have to do our part, y'all. That's for me.
Yes, Shay. Thank you so much. And Miss Nexie.
Um, well, for me, I would have to say, and I guess this is the way after I started working on myself that I view relationships. Relationships are like, just look at the laws of when you start driving, right? You have to stop at certain times. You have to look both ways. You have to look front and you have to look back. You have to take the left, put a signal. You have to, if you're going to take a left, put a signal. If you're going to take a right, put another signal. So always be aware of your surroundings. That's the way I'm looking at relationships. Not because it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, you're just going to go one way without looking every way for safety measures. I don't know if the analogy makes sense, but it does for me.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense, Miss Nexie. So thank you all so much, all you gems, for supporting me and this channel. I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening, and keep on working on your relationships, the ones that matter, the ones that are healthy, maintain them, and the ones that are toxic, let them go and move on. I'll see you guys later on. I think at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, I'm gonna have a vlog uploaded. So stay tuned for that, and also keep your bell on for future vlogs and live streams. I'll see you guys on the next one. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye, guys.